If you're thinking about selling your business and you're wondering what you need to have prepared, I've got a couple tips for you. I'm Joe. I grew my business from 0 to 10 million, sold it at the end of 2024, and now I'm on here sharing everything that I've learned along the way. So follow for more. So I think the first thing you need to realize is that preparing to sell your business probably needs to start about 3 to 5 years before you actually want to sell the business. And I will say this timeline significantly hinges on how clean your financials are. At any point when you go to sell it, the buyer is going to look at the last 3 to 5 years worth of tax returns and financial statements from the company. And it's important that those are clean and there's not a lot of questions. There's not a lot of like personal stuff running through there. You want those numbers to look as good as possible and as clean as possible. You want to be able to explain any irregularities that may be happening in your finances. If it's a very seasonal business, you're going to need to be able to explain that. Or if one year, February was way down from a previous year, you're going to need to be able to have an explanation for why that happened. So you're also going to want to understand how businesses are valued. There's a ton of factors that go into this, but assume as just a general number on a say it's a small service business, say you're doing like 1 to 2 million a year in revenue. On that kind of business, you can kind of figure about 3 times the seller's discretionary earnings, which is basically whatever salary you're taking. And then say you've got a truck that you're paying for out of the company, add that number back in as well. And don't get me wrong, this significantly oversimplifies the valuation process, but that just gives you a ballpark idea of what your company might be worth. The higher the revenue and the earnings specifically, the higher that multiple can get. And also, the lower the owner involvement is, the higher that multiple can get, which is another reason that you want to be looking at this 3 to 5 years ahead of time and planning, because you need to reduce your involvement and have a lot of standard operating procedures in place and have a good management team in place. The last reason that it's really good to think about this on a 3 to 5 year plan is that, say you have that 3x multiple, that is your motivation to sell more and increase your earnings for those 3 to 5 years. You need to think about it from the standpoint of every dollar that hits the bottom line is worth maybe $3 to me at a sale time, because the business is also going to be worth more if the revenue and the earnings are consistently on an upward trajectory. If you have any questions, I'm happy to talk about my experience selling my company. Send me a DM, or there's a link in my bio. You can go to my personal website and shoot me a note from there as well.